Welcome to the Tech Blog Writer Podcast, your guide to future tech trends and innovation in a language you understand. Now, over to your host, Neil Hughes.
Welcome back to the Tech Blog Writer Podcast, where we explore a different industry every day and how it's transformed by technology. Or we have been known to learn from a business leader or startup founder who are facing the same challenges as everyone listening. But together, I'm hoping we can make sense of it all and find a way of moving forward. So for today's episode, I want to explore the Internet of Things. Yes, the ubiquitous IoT, where in a new digital world where every item that we seem to purchase comes with an always online connection. And today's guest is the CEO and founder of a company called Blynk. And throughout his career, he has been involved in defining innovative products and experiences in mobile, web, ad tech, connected cars, and of course the Internet of Things. And his company Blynk is one of the most popular IoT platforms for connecting electronic devices into the cloud, and also designing applications to control them and managing thousands of deployed products. Essentially, Blynk helps to connect customers' hardware to the internet and build ready-made mobile and web applications to help meet their business goals. So buckle up and hold on tight as I beam your ears all the way to New York City so we can speak with Pavel Bayborodin, CEO and founder of Blynk. So a massive warm welcome to the show. Can you tell the listeners a little about who you are and what you do?
Yeah, sure. So first of all, thanks for having me on the show. Really excited about that. My name is Pavel. I'm CEO of Blynk, and basically we try to make Internet of Things simple for everyone. That's our main goal. We started in 2015 by running a successful Kickstarter campaign, and then grew to an amazing community of almost 500,000 engineers, entrepreneurs, businesses, makers, artists, and hackers. So everyone who's using our platform to communicate with electronics.
And IoT is a big buzzword these days, and integration costs are incredibly high, and outcomes are not always clear because ROI is a complete unknown. So can you tell me a little bit more about exactly what Blynk is, and also how you're democratizing the Internet of Things?
Yeah, so it's a great question. What we try to do is to build a platform that's where you can very easily connect devices to the cloud, design mobile applications to control them, and manage your deployed products and scale. So we are really focused on the usability and user use for all the stakeholders that are usually involved in any IoT or connected product development, whether it's a hardware engineer, a business owner, or an end user of the product. So we've built basically a set of tools that allow everyone, first of all, connect any electronic device to the internet. Currently, we support over 400 different hardware models, and you can choose anything you want, and for major hardware architectures. And then most likely you will be able to run Blynk on that. Then we offer a cloud solution, which is open source, and we can talk about it later on, which is like the control center of the platform. It handles all the authentication, device management, data storage, and so on. Then, one of the most famous products that we offer is the mobile application builder. It's a drag and drop, very fun to use, what you see is what you get tool, where you can build any mobile interface to communicate with the connected thing or with the product or with electronics. So let's say you need to turn something on and off. You can put a button there and it will be almost seamlessly connected with your device, and you can control the switch, for example. Or if you need to plot the historical data of some sensor, you can put a chart there. We have notifications and all sorts of different bits and pieces of UI and functionality that's needed to build a mobile app for a connected product. So you can think about it as a Squarespace, this website builder, or Wix, or where you just basically can do the same for the website. So it's very similar. We just do it for the mobile, and it works really well with the hardware. And what's most interesting is that everything you build, every project that you build in Blynk app, you can also publish it to App Store and Google Play. So it will be your own brand with your logo, with app icon, and with your colors and everything. And you will be able to start selling the product that you've built, and all the infrastructure will be run by Blynk. And of course, for enterprise clients, we also offer IoT business management tools like over-the-air updates, analytics, user management, partners and organization management, and more than that. So in terms of democratization, I think it's a really interesting kind of point to discuss. I think that we are doing a couple of things there. So first, we are not tied to any hardware, as I said. Like, there are many platforms out there who work specifically with a specific hardware, and they kind of create this ecosystem. I think it's a really good approach. However, we always want it to be hardware agnostic so that you can put any device and connect it to the internet. Secondly, unlike many players out there as well, we open sourced our cloud. And we think that it's a very beneficial point, not only from like the community standpoint, but also from security and overall like openness of the platform. We think that in the modern age, you should definitely understand who's the owner of the data, what is like what's inside of the platform that you use. So we think that it's very, very democratic, or how you say, like open. So we are really open to that. Then one of the aspects of democratization is that prototypes and products can be done by anyone. So there are kids who are building robots, smart home systems on Blynk, and it's this in the same level. It's suitable for like pet projects, for DIY projects, all the way up to like industrial equipment. So I think it's like the easiness of use, the affordability of the technology is something that we are definitely working on. Then we have a great business model. We have like flat rate package for everything that includes everything that I just mentioned, like cloud, the applications, the web dashboard to manage it. So all comes in one package with a flat price on top of that. I think these are at least a couple of things that we think help people to build products, connect IoT products more efficient.
Now, you're in New York, but originally you're from Ukraine, and there is a huge thriving startup scene over there at the moment, which I think you're familiar with. So I might ask you if you know about that and what's going on over there, but also about tech skill sets and how they differ around the world. Is that something you can expand on?
Sure. So I moved to the United States 4 years ago, and before that, I was working in an IT consultancy company, which was basically focused on delivering software products to American customers and also European customers as well. So, and the technology scene in Ukraine is really, really high. And so before that, it was mostly IoT consulting and IT outsourcing. But now there are many startups there, and there are like new product companies that appear. Like you maybe heard about PetCube. You maybe heard about Ring, which currently has the development center in Kiev, owned by Amazon. So the background of that is really, really interesting because it's something very unique. So Ukraine was a part of the Soviet Union, and the kind of education system was really, really focused on the science itself, like physics, math, algebra, geometry. And while there wasn't that much focus on the computer science, while it was as well, but when you have these skills of the like analytical thinking, of understanding the mathematics of the mathematics, the algorithm building, and so on, it's a very, very specific skill that you can utilize highly in modern software development and reality. And this is why the Russia, Belarus, Ukraine is booming so much on like high complex IT solutions or like software solutions. So the market is really, really high. Now it's really, really difficult to find good developers out there because they have a lot of offers on the table, basically. So it's interesting that when working in IT, I figured out that the like different regions are better suitable for like developers in different regions are better suited for different tasks. For example, as I said, like in Ukraine and Russian, Belarusian, Baltic countries, you'll find more people who are like has this strong scientific background, which help them to solve complex tasks and algorithms. While in other countries, like in Mexico, for example, you will find more creativity in terms of like approach to the technical solution and so on. And like in India, it's a completely different thing where you can boost up your processes by hiring more people that can solve like repetitive tasks and so on. While it's not like the general scene, but I just found that there are some specialities that you can utilize. And if you're building a product, then you should be aware of that and find for the developer who can solve your challenge or task.
Absolutely. And I love how technology is helping people from all over the world to collaborate together and utilize each other's skills or each other's strengths to deliver a project or get a project over the line. But back to Blynk, I mean, you guys help businesses to build successful connected products, and your platform enables organizations to move smoothly from prototype to production in very short iterations. I've also read some fantastic stories, such as the Raspberry Pi Smart Garden System. Can you share some of these success stories with me?
For sure. So I think that the Raspberry Pi Smart Garden System is one of the smallest projects that we ever had on Kickstarter, because we started on Kickstarter, and we of course thought that there will be many startups who will be building connected products. So we worked with them, and we delivered already a few we helped companies to deliver successful products already. Like a good example would be the company called Plato. So they've raised around $200,000, and they are building a smart airlock for beer brewers. So basically, you can track the fermentation process of the volume of the batch of beer that you're brewing. So they are pretty small, but they are launching 3,000 devices, and they're already shipping that. And for a company with their size, it's a huge success. And we are very happy that we enable them to do that, because they actually started with a small prototype, like put a couple of buttons here and there in chart, and then they started to kind of tinker with the electronics that they had, and they figured out certain correlations. They found out like what's the best way to represent the data, what should be user experience. So they were moving like in short iterations, and also like financing the product on every step with every iteration. They were like talking with the community of like first early adopters. They were doing a lot of scientific experiments using Blynk as well. And this helped them to go all the way from an idea to actually shipping the product. And now the whole company is running on Blynk infrastructure. The units are already activated, and they are preparing the next batch. There are other examples like that, like the other company called Voltaire. They've built a connected coffee grinder. And while they don't use Blynk right now in the final product, we're using it heavily in prototyping, and also it helped them to identify the product, what it should be, what the user experience should be, and so on. There are many other, I think, examples of how Blynk is used, but most interesting is like why they are choosing Blynk. I think, from my perspective, I think that first of all, it's the time to market is reduced significantly. You can connect any device in 5 minutes, and then you can build a mobile application in a day. And then you can start like seeing the live data on the screen. You can start interacting with the device. You can start collecting feedback. And as I said, just moving these quick iterations. Like now everyone is accepting the agile process, right? When you have like 2-week sprints and you build software around these sprints. So we boosted the whole approach to another level where you don't need to code mobile applications, for example. You just use what's there, test your hypothesis, and move forward faster and faster. The next thing is, of course, it's a cost efficient. Like think about the company that like even the small company or even a large company that we work, most of them, they are purely engineers, or we are usually working with engineers department. So they don't have any expertise in user experience and design and connectivity. Well, they have some sort of some experience in these domains. However, this is not their strongest part. And with Blynk, you actually remove the whole IT team. So you have your own product. It can be connected. There is a cloud infrastructure. You can build apps for end customers. You can monitor like what's happening with all of the units in the field. So basically remove like $500,000 cost per year from your organization, and you move faster to market with that. And you're very flexible in terms of development.
And more IoT developers are turning to Blynk now, and that's quite evident in the rankings. For example, the latest most starred list of Arduino libs puts Blynk in 5th position. I mean, can you expand on that? You must make you incredibly proud.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite topics, Neil, so thanks for asking. From the very beginning, Blynk was all about the community. At some point, we realized that having engineers who use your product every day, who give you feedback and participate in shaping of the product is like very crucial. So you can't eliminate this factor at all. And it's just early adopters, right? So these are the people who are actually working with the new technologies and are eager to experiment and try new things. So I think that's why, like, we build, first of all, we were trying to be very open. Like, we open sourced all of the hardware connectors. So like all the hardware libraries are there, and they are available for Arduino, for Raspberry Pi, for JavaScript, for Python. So we have all sorts of these things. And then we all open source the cloud, which is also interesting because on one side, like, it's limiting to us. We thought that it can be limiting to us as a company to like provide commercial solutions, but we actually benefit from that a lot. So because people are trusting you, they can see that you are working with the community, that you are open, that you are like eager to make improvements and overall have a dialogue with your customers. I think that's what helped us to move that high in these positions. By the way, we are also number 2 in the list of libraries for particle devices. It's another pretty big US company that provides hardware and software for Internet of Things as well. So, and I think it will be growing because we can see the numbers are only growing right now.
Throughout your career, you've been involved in defining innovative product experiences in mobile, web, ad tech, and connected cars, to name but a few. But can you tell me more about your backstory and how you got involved with the Internet of Things?
I think that, first of all, I was always obsessed with computers and screens specifically. So I was always fascinated by computer graphics software. I learned Photoshop, Illustrator, very, very young. I sold my first logotype when I was 16. It was made in Illustrator. I now remember that. So I was visual designer in print for a while, worked in magazines and advertising a lot. But then I realized that mobile phones are kind of winning, and I realized that it's going to be huge. And I started to educate myself about user experience and like how people interact with the screens, with interfaces. It was a really, really interesting time because this was a pretty new term at the time. Everything was new. Then I think iPhone came out, and I think that it actually, for me personally, this is where IoT started. Of course, there was the M2M before that, but on a level where people are connected to devices that are interconnected to other devices, I think that was like a revolutionary moment. So at the time I joined, as I said, an IT consultancy company, and where I was involved in numerous software development projects, where I led the UX development, UX team. Mostly it was about making awesome and like really nice looking mobile apps and web applications. But then the trend started to change, and we started to build more and more solutions for TVs, Wi-Fi routers, all sorts of like kiosks, screens, and so on. So that was and kind of a next level of introducing myself to the Internet of Things. And that time, my team created the user experience for the first connected GPS device, and we even got the Innovation Award at CES for that. It was the first kind of device of this kind. Then we started to work with huge auto manufacturers like Chrysler, Ford, GM, worked with Renault in Europe. And we were defining what will be the driving experience in connected cars that would hit the road in the next decades. This was really exciting and really, really interesting. I think this was one of the most interesting parts prior to Blynk. So at that time, I really became more interested in human to electronics interactions and realized that connected cars is just a fraction of what can be done with the new technologies that just becoming available every day and every day. I think that was like a smooth transition. Then I bought my first Arduino kit. I was fascinated with how easy it is to build electronics products with our prototypes, or like whatever you call it, like how easy it is to interact with electronics. And then something kind of struck my mind where I realized that, oh, but there's no way to build a really easy to use kind of interface with these products. So it was like in the beginning stage, talking to the microcontrollers is just going over the console, over the serial. So there is no interface. And if you need to do something, then you need to learn how to code on iOS, on Android, or like web, and so on. So this is where I decided to build Blynk, I think. And this is where the whole IoT story started. I never thought that I would be in the Internet of Things business, by the way. I thought that I'd be the designer or product guy. But yeah, I'm really happy that the kind of my life shaped all the path to where I am right now.
Blynk, of course, is now one of the most popular IoT platforms for connecting electronic devices to the cloud, designing applications to control them, and also managing thousands and thousands of deployed products out there. So again, you must be incredibly proud of what you've created, but what have been your biggest challenges along the way?
Well, first of all, thanks for saying that. We're growing really fast, becoming more and more popular. That's a tough question, Neil. I think that the overall, simplifying complex technology and making it accessible to wider audience is a big challenge by itself. And I think it's a constant challenge. So we are dealing with it every day. We are thinking about how to improve the overall experience for everyone who is somehow connected to the products that are built with Blynk. The next thing, as our embedded solutions architect always say, hardware is hard. But making it work with other pieces even in the system, it's even harder. And I'm telling you, like 100% sure. So connecting the dots in IoT is the biggest thing. So you need to make sure that all the apps are working with the cloud, all the devices are working with the cloud, that there's like a real-time communication, the synchronization of the states. And there are so many moving pieces that it's one of the biggest challenges, I think, for IoT. There are more, but I think that is... there is another like personal challenge, personal mission to solve an IoT. I think it's called something I called onboarding of new customers or like people who are dealing with the IoT for the first time. So there is a statistics that 40% of people fail when connecting IoT products for the first time. Just imagine that, like half of all the users that try to connect, I don't know, smart device at their home, they're failing. And it's no wonder, because there's so many moving points, like the strength of the signal, interference with other Wi-Fi networks, network issues, user experience issues. So this whole piece is so challenging, but I actually like it. And having the community, by the way, that can test your assumptions and test your product under different kind of conditions was really helpful for Blynk, and helped us to iron out like 90% of all the edge cases. And I think today, nobody has a provisioning process better than Blynk. I'm just being honest there. We spent so much. I think that we've been doing it for 2 years, just constantly improving the whole process, which is just 3 steps, power on the device, connect it to the internet, start using. 2 years.
Wow. So Blynk does help connect customers' hardware to the internet, like you said, and build ready-made mobile and web applications to meet their business goals. So are there any big use cases that have delighted you and you start to see the art of the possible and the kind of ideas that people bring to life?
For sure, yeah. So overall, I'm just delighted about how dramatically IoT can change businesses. Yeah. So like from the ground. Like imagine, so when I say imagine, I think that there's a client that we are working with, like a boiler manufacturer, like a huge industrial boiler that sits into a building and controls all the heating and cooling processes, right? Boilers are for heating. So they have, like before that, they would install it in your building or like in a huge multi-apartment building. And they will have no idea what happens with their equipment after it's shipped. So then they would need to send someone to check from time to time and then basically react to technical support. But now imagine the level of technical support this company is capable of delivering when their device is connected. So they can predict when this expensive equipment is trending towards failure or manufacturing in real time. They get notifications and so on. So this is like a complete change, complete shift for the company. Another great product is a company we worked with. So they build underground water level and water contamination sensors. They're high precision industrial grade sensors. So basically how it works, the engineer would go somewhere into the woods, in the mountains or like anywhere. They will drill the well, put the sensor into the well for 6 months, then go back to the office, wait for 6 months, drive many hours back, sit on the ground with the laptop on their knees, collect the data from every sensor, from every well they drilled. So with IoT, the whole thing has changed. So you get data in real time, you get notifications on meeting certain thresholds of contaminations, of water level change, and so on. You don't have to drive. You don't have to spend like 2 days in order to get to the job site and to get all the information. So to be honest, when I even talk about it, it sounds like magic for me. So they dramatically reduce the cost of operation, they increase the efficiency, and there are so many examples of that. And I'm fascinated how IoT is applicable to almost every industry, every vertical, every niche you can think about it.
So is there anything else that you can share with us about your big goals for Blynk in 2019 and indeed beyond?
So we are working on releasing a new shiny version of Blynk platforms with lots of improvements and tools for engineers and businesses. What's more exciting, I think, that right now, IoT is in the stage where people kind of figure out the technical side of the challenge, right? So they can connect equipment. It's very easy overall. With Blynk or with other platform, it's more or less easy. Like building applications on top of that, it's a bit more complicated, but still it's possible. So now, mindset of organizations shifts slightly to, okay, we got this thing connected, how we can monetize that. And currently we're working on out-of-the-box monetization tool, so you will be able to monetize the solution that you've built with Blynk. I think it's a huge update to the platform, and I'm really excited, looking forward to see it live. We also plan on working more on out-of-the-box solution. We are working more on off-the-shelf solutions, so where you can buy equipment that already works with Blynk, and you can install it, either it's a temperature sensor or a vibration sensor or some sort of a relay or switch or energy consumption monitoring. So like a packaged solution that not only engineers can use, but just businesses can buy it from us, have the app, have everything installed, and basically.
Well, a huge thank you for taking the time to come and speak with me today. But before I do let you rush off, could I just ask that you remind the listeners of where they can find Blynk online, and also maybe reach out and contact a member of your team if they've got any questions after listening to our conversation today?
Absolutely, with pleasure. So if you're a developer, just simply go to blynk.cc. It's BLYNK. We also have GitHub repository, tons of tutorials online made by our community members. There's a documentation. Everything is on the website. You can find it there. If you're a business thinking of working on IoT implementation or need some consultancy or would like to use Blynk, just shoot us an email to iot@blynk.cc. So Blynk is BLYNK.
I think you have proved today that IoT is so much more than just another buzzword. And I love how you talk there about transforming multiple industries. And it's going to affect so many different businesses, but in a good way. And I really think your interview today has provided that vision of the future, but also helps people appreciate and vision the art of the possible and what IoT can help build. So a big thank you for coming on today. I appreciate it.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot for having me, Neil. It was a pleasure talking to you.
I loved his story and how he founded Blynk to help businesses and innovators build connected products and services faster, easier, and with an amazing user experience. That was his core beliefs. And now, as a result of that passion, Blynk is now one of the most user-friendly Internet of Things platforms that was founded on Kickstarter in 2015 and has since grown its global community to over 350,000 users. How cool is that? And there are so many other great stats around what they're doing at Blynk, such as 99.99% uptime on its servers since May 2015, 72 billion messages, 3,000 plus devices online every single second on a public server, not a business cloud. So I'll put the links on the show notes if you would like to check them out and find out a little bit more. But I'd love to hear your thoughts, your takeaways from today's tech podcast, and of course Pavel's journey. So please email me techblogwriter@outlook.com, tweet me at Neil C. Hughes, or visit my website techblogwriter.co.uk. If you go to podcasts, you can find all 700 plus episodes and much, much more. Now, I do think there will be a few home networks starting to creak at the end of this year, as it seems we've gone from having just a handful of things accessing our Wi-Fi password to 20, 30, 40, 50, or even more, depending on your addiction to tech and smart light bulbs, smart plug and digital assistants, toasters, washing machines, ovens. The list goes on. And how do you secure every single device on your network? that's an episode for another day as we're out of time. So all that's left for me to say is a big thank you for listening to the show. And until next time, don't be a stranger.
Thanks for listening to the Tech Blog Writer Podcast. Until next time, remember, technology is best when it brings people together.